Hello everyone in CIS-115. We're still in Module 5, Week 10. This lecture is to talk about string formatting. So you can see where the link to the string formatting textual material is. This is, of course, video material. So let's go into string formatting a little bit. So there is an old style of string formatting, and there's a new style, and there's a even newer style that's not even in this online material that's at pyformat.info. So I'm going to try to talk about all three here. But just so you understand, CodeLab, well, I think there's only one string formatting question in CodeLab, but CodeLab wants the old style of string formatting. So you can see here it's telling you all of these examples that are in this material work with Python version 2, Python version 3, and up. And the even newer style that I'm going to talk about works from Python 3.6 up. And of course, you can use any of these styles if you have the later version of Python. So the newer style is preferred just because I think it's easier to read. And even the one that's not even bulleted here that I'm going to tell you about, I think is even easier to read. So let's get started with doing some basic formatting of numbers. So you can see here it's talking about, there's a section here of formatting numbers. And basically it gives you the old way of doing it, and it gives you the new way of doing it. So you'll notice here that they're using a D. The D character in all of the formatting, the D represents an integer. Okay, so D for integer. F makes a little more sense. F is used to format a float. So if I wanted to take this number pi, 3.141593, actually it's 926, but they rounded it up here, and format it, we could do that both with the new way and the old way. So let's play with that a little bit. So if you don't want to have to remember pi, the math library actually includes a pi constant. So import math, and then just to show you, we could print math.pi, okay? And you can see what's coming out. Math library has it memorized out to a lot more decimal places. This is where my brain stops right here. I have that much memorized. So if we wanted to format this as one decimal here on the or one number on the left of the decimal and two numbers on the right, this is how we could do it with the old style formatting. Okay, so let's do that. The old style. So we would have this, our format string is what they call this, %sign inside there, and the %sign has to be followed by a specifier. So in our case, we're going to format it as one letter to the left, or one number to the left, two numbers to the right, and we want it to be a float. Okay, so this is our format string right here using the old style formatting. And then we'll go back and do it with the new. Okay, so we've got that, and then we have to, after that, we have to put this percent sign, and you can see why I said it's harder to read, isn't it? You see what I get when I ran that 3.14? That's saying 1 to the left of the decimal, 2 to the right, and the type of stuff that's in this, whatever we're formatting, is a float. Okay? Now, if we wanted to do the same thing, this is the old way of doing it right here. The new way, which is a little bit easier to understand, I think, print, okay? We still make our format string, but we make a placeholder with the squiggly brackets, okay? And so now inside here you have that, and then you have 1.2 and an F, okay? So this is the new way of doing it, okay? And then you put a dot format, and then whatever you're wanting to format, okay? So this is the new way of doing it. And let's see, I'm getting an error because I left off a closing parenthesis. See, there's my print. There's a close for that. There's a parenthesis around the format. So let's see, it still doesn't like something. Let's clear that and try it again. Okay, there it is. So it was working. So that's the new way. And then there's even a newer way that's not even in that material, that new way. F strings work with Python 3.6 and up. And these to me are the easiest ones, I think. Print, okay, and then you do the F, and then the F in front of the string tells Python that it's getting a format string, okay? And so inside the format string, then we can put our squiggly brackets just like we had before, okay? And then you put what it is you want to format, okay? And then you remember how we were doing this up here to get 1 and 2 decimal places, and it's a float? We take that and we put it here, okay? And that is the newest way of all to format something. And you can see I've given you all 3 ways of doing it, with the format string, the format method, and then the old archaic way of doing it. So giving you all 3 different ways of doing stuff. Now, we were talking about numbers here, but you can also format strings, not just floats or D for integers, but you can also format strings. And so if we come up here and look, you'll see that in these methods right here, padding and aligning strings. And so if you wanted to have this string test here, that's just 4 letters, if you wanted to format that in something that is 10 wide, in a 10 character wide string, and you wanted it to be right justified, then you could do what's going on here. So let's try that. Old way of doing it, right? So we'll come here and we'll go ahead and add something down below, and we'll just say a string equals, and what were they using? They were using test is the name of the string, or excuse me, the contents of the string. So if I wanted to print this right justified in something 10 wide, okay, then this is the way I would do it. The old way looks like this. Let's go back to it and put that inside my print. And right here, this is going to be a string because I'm using a variable. So you notice what I've got here. So we're saying 10 wide. So let's print it. And you can see there it is coming out 10 wide. Now, just so you know, if you wanted to, it's implied that there's a plus right here. Okay. And you can see that that didn't change anything, okay? But that says right justify it. If I wanted this to be left justified, then I'd change that plus to a minus. And now it's going to kick it all the way over to the left when I do this. See, test is all the way to the left, okay? So again, this is the old way, okay? Now, the new way of doing it, okay, we would have our format string. Remember that this is the little placeholder, okay, format, and we tell it what it is that we want to format, and we're formatting a string, okay. So this is what we've got. If we ran this right now, there's just saying there's no formatting here. And whoops, let's see what happened. Key error. Okay. Oh, I know why. I didn't put anything in here. Let's try that now. Okay. And clear it where we can see it when it runs. See, there's tests coming out the new way. So that's telling it we're formatting a string. Okay, that's what the S stands for. Remember, we put a D for an integer, we put an F for a float. Now, if I wanted to right justify that in 10, just like we were doing when we had this, okay, then this makes a little more sense to me to put the greater than. So the arrow's saying put it to the right. And if it needs to be in 10, in a 10 character, then we would need to have this, I think. You see what I'm getting now with the new way? Okay. So that's the new way, and it's getting us this. Okay. Makes a little more sense. If we want it to be to the left in 10 spaces, then we could do this. That kicks it to the left. Okay, you can't see it if I don't clear. There's to the left. Okay. All right, so let's right justify it again. Okay, and then we'll go and do the same thing with an F string. And eventually everything, I think, will move to the new way, F string. Okay, and so the F string uses a lot of this, so we'll go ahead and copy that and paste it down here, and we'll put the F in front, remember that, Now this stuff goes inside here. And so it's a little less typing. Okay, and we don't need that parenthesis either. So that's an F string to do the same thing. And let's see if it works. Okay, and I think it did. I just need to clear my shell or move it up. Yeah, so that's an F string. And this is not in your books, not in your material online. It's brand new, but I use these a lot, especially working with databases. So because it's just so much less to keep up with when you're writing it. So the new way that's not even in the material. So now that we've talked about those, let's look at one of the CodeLab items that's doing some string formatting. And there's only one. And it's saying that we've got these variables, description that's got a string, unit price, and we've got description, unit price. Is there anything else there? And quantity. Quantity has an int in it, so we'll need to use a D for that. Description has a float, so we'll need to, description has a string, so we'll need to use an S for that. And unit price has a float, so we'll need to use an F for that. So it's saying that they just want the format string to print something out, where basically this is what's getting printed out. The 10 for the quantity is right justified in a 3 wide. The string for the description needs to be left justified in 30 spaces, and then they want a $, and then the price right justified with 2 decimal places. So let's go ahead and set this up in Tawny and see if we can make it work with the old style. Remember, the old style is all that works with CodeLab. They don't accept the new style, and they definitely don't accept the new style, which is F strings. So, okay, so let's go here, file, save as. I'm going to say this is CodeLab demo 51028.py and save that. And now I can get rid of all this stuff. Get rid of my code there, clean this shell up a little bit. Okay, so said we had quantity, and the example they gave, quantity had what? When it printed, it had 10, type 10, 1, 3, okay. Quantity type was an int, so quantity is right justified in 3. Okay, quantity, okay. So this is what we're doing right here, what's inside the quotes. So let me go ahead and just copy that so that I have that kind of in my head as far as what to put here. Okay, so, and then we'll clean this code up where it actually works in a second. Okay, so this is what our format string is supposed to look like. And if we were doing this like we were doing before, it would be inside of a print, just so you know. It would have been inside of a print like this, okay, with the % sign on the end of it, And then the variables, I think they were actually like this when we were printing stuff. Let's look at the string formatting material again and see if we can find that. Yeah, right here. Okay, so yeah, see how they have it in the parentheses after the quote. So that's what would be going on with this. So back to Tawny here. So quantity needs to have a 3 in it because they said that was an int. We're just dummying these up. Description needs to have a string in it, and the string is supposed to be this 1 3-inch ring, 1 3-ring binder. So I'll go ahead and pop that in there. Okay, I'm just dummying up some variables. Unit price is a float, and it's supposed to have 550 in it. 5.5. That's a good float. Okay. So now we need to make a format string right here to print those out. And just so you know, what would be here would be quantity, comma, description, comma, and then unit price. And most of the examples online showed that they had a comma there on the end of it, although that's not really necessary. Okay, so we need to get the format string to work right here so that we can test this out. Okay, so let's try it. A %sign. Where am I getting that? The %sign for formatting, we're formatting a number, so right here, formatting a number, $D to format that number. So %sign, and it needed to be in three places, so that's why I'm putting 3 in a D, because this is an int. Okay, 3D. Okay, and then it had a space. If we go back and look at CodeLab, it had a space after that right here. Here's the space that we're working on. Okay, and then this next thing is a description, and it is left justified. So description is coming next, and it's a string, so we put another %sign, and then we want to left justify it, so it's got to be a minus, and it said 30 wide, and then it's an S for string. So that's the next thing. And is there a space after that description? I think there is. I think there's a space after it, and then we need the $sign and stuff. So let's go back to Tawny here. Okay, space, %sign, whoops, got to have the $sign in there, $sign, and then our %sign, and then we're formatting, how wide is that? 7 total with 2 digits to the right of the decimal. 7 total with 2 digits to the right of the decimal. So 7.2 F. Okay, let's see how this works when we print this, and then we can go back and actually make this string. There it is. Are we good? 1, 2, let's see. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. So this is our format string right here, this much, and write the variable that contains a format string, assign it to the variable format. Assign to the variable format. So I think what they're actually wanting is just the variable. So here's what I would do. Format equals, and I'm going to take this and cut that, put it up here. Okay, that's my format string. And then our program would change to that, which is still going to work, you see? Okay, this is, I think, what CodeLab wants right here. Let's try it. And there you go. So that's some string formatting. Now, I'll do another video to help you get started with the project. And I believe that it's, we go back and look here, project 7. So we'll get something partially working here for project 7 in the next video. All right, good luck with the string formatting.